I can't find where the... Hit me, dude. From what I remember of Purple Haze was that Jimmy wrote this with Chas Chandler in his apartment, and I'm sure it was induced by some form of drug, whether it was acid or whatever. Everybody seemed to think that it was, and now I think even more so because it was so prevalent in those days. I think they always did, in the beginning, the record companies and everybody, oh no, it's got nothing to do with drugs, but of course it does. He would cut 2 songs or 2 basic tracks in one night. In terms of overdubbing, he was very precise about what the guitar tone should be, where we would punch it in on the tape machine. We were talking about where that was. Very, very particular about how the rhythm section was playing. Perfectionism is where it's at. Oh, we know what that is. All Along the Watchtower was the most successful song that Jimmy had worked on. Now, Jimmy loved to take other people's material and tweak them and turn them around and make them their own, and particularly with Dylan. Dylan inspired Jimmy. Dylan was a hero for Jimmy. Why? Because Dylan was a poet, and he loved the poetry of how Dylan wrote, lyric-wise, but also the music. Great chord changes, beautiful story, I mean, and so Jimmy was bang in there. He loved that. Mitch Mitchell had a terrible time of trying to figure out how to play that intro, and that's when Jimmy used to yell at people, hey, you didn't get that right, come on, let's do it again. 24 takes later, we got it. But they're all bonus love. There's a part of the song where you hear the drums come in, and that's where the phasing comes in, where the sound goes like that. George Martin told us how to do it because we asked him, because the Beatles had done it. And so one day I sat Jimmy down on the couch, we started playing the tape and we kicked in the phasing, and the drums come in and it's like he goes absolutely crazy. He grabs his head and he's falling on the floor and he's grabbing, he said, oh my God, where did you get that sound? I heard that in my dream, I heard that in my dreams. Play it again. So we played again. Oh man, and he's totally freaking out. And he said, man, I want that shit on everything. That's a true story, because he heard it in his dreams. And he couldn't believe that we had recreated that sound that he heard in his dream on tape. I don't know that guy. Little band. Amazing. I mean, working with Zepp was fantastic. And this album, Zeppelin 2, was mixed in 2 days at A&R Studios in New York. I mixed it over a weekend, Saturday and a Sunday. I made the biggest mistake I ever made. And it's true, because on the 8 tracks you had, track 8 was the main lead vocal, track 7 was another vocal, but we didn't use it. So we're playing the tape, and track 7, I couldn't get rid of track 7 because it was, the volume controls were these old-fashioned knobs. I kept trying to turn it off, and I couldn't get it. And I was about to grab the reverberation, the reverb knob. And as I was going to go for it, Jimmy Page was sitting right next to me, and we both exactly at the same time went for the same part to turn the reverb up, and we started laughing, and that was it. So it shouldn't have been there, but you take that mistake and you create something new from the mistake. That's what we don't do today. Leave the goddamn mistakes in, because it makes music better. The mistake became part of history. I guess that's Kiss live. Very cool band, very visual, explosions and bombs. It was a very, very tough record to make, because imagine you've got 6-inch heels and you're dancing around on stage and there's rockets going off and bombs and fireworks and Christ knows what else. It was a big challenge to make that record. We had to fix a lot of stuff to make it work, but in the end that record sold, we thought 300,000-400,000. It went up to like 5 million by the time we finished with the sales. So it was very successful. Well, I was working with a producer called Jimmy Miller, who was fantastic. Since I was just the engineer, I wasn't producing. Jimmy Miller was a producer, and he was able to get amazing things out of the Stones. That was the turning point for the Stones, I think. I did a song called Street Fighting Man, and I'll talk about that one, was using a cassette machine on the floor of the studio, and you're Charlie, and there would be Keith and Mick and everybody else in the band, all sitting around in a circle, and that's how we played the original track. Recorded it onto this little machine, and then played that back, put a microphone in front of the speaker, and then recorded that onto the tape machine, and then we overdubbed all the rest of the stuff. All you need is love. So this is All You Need Is Love by the Beatles. It was the first time that I would actually do the full session with them. It was a really interesting time because John Lennon was the one whose song it was. He wrote it, and he came in and sat next to me and said, "All right, lads, we got to do this song for TV," and started playing the song, playing acoustic guitar, and had to figure out how to record him. He's sitting right next to me. Very exciting. The Beatles in the studio, picking up different instruments. Paul picks up a string bass and plays that. George Martin plays the harpsichord. It was wonderful. And we cut the track literally in about half an hour, and then bring the band in, have a listen, wind back a couple of takes. John says, "Let's listen to this one." We listen to it, and everybody says, "Yeah, that's it, terrific. See you later, bye-bye."